before we get into the Chicago Bulls win over the Memphis Grizzlies on the road, leave a like on this video. The Chicago Bulls went into Memphis and struggled in the first half. They were down by double digits, and they were struggling defensively. The three-point shot was the three-point defense was terrible. Memphis was getting a lot of three-point open looks. And most importantly, though, the interior defense, especially on the transition defense, was terrible for the Bulls in the first half. And then the second half was a completely different game for the Bulls. Jim Boylen made great adjustments at halftime that were enough for the Bulls to get this win in Memphis, and is officially their first win of the 2019-2020 season. It was a tale of two halves, basically, for the Bulls. First half was basically the only offense was from Zach LaVine. He had 20 in the first half, and besides him, the Bulls would not be in that game. The game would probably be over if LaVine didn't show up in the first half. So, besides LaVine was atrocious. Lauri Markkanen could not hit a shot for his life. He went 1 for 10 from three-point range today. Did not hit a three in the first half. Otto Porter had another terrible game, and I know he's on a minutes restriction, but he has been absolutely terrible to start the season. And Wendell Carter Jr. actually started out pretty well. The issue is that Jim Boylen decided to take him out because he was worried about foul trouble with him, as Wendell picked up 2 early fouls, and Jim Boylen didn't want him to pick up his third in the second quarter. Tomas Satoransky actually had an okay game. He played really well defensively, but he did not shoot well from the field. As you can see, he only had 9 points on 2 of 7 shooting. First half with the bench was okay. Thaddeus Young played pretty decent in the amount of minutes he got in the first half, which was very few. Chris Dunn really brought it defensively against Ja Morant, but overall the only offense was LaVine, and the defense besides Chris Dunn and Ja Morant was atrocious. Guards were getting into the lane very easily. They were able to collapse the defense, and then the Grizzlies shooters were getting wide open looks, which they made a lot in the first half. So the Bulls got out-rebounded in the first half. They let up too many points in the paint in the first half. The three-point defense was not good in the first half. And Luke Kornet cannot play pick-and-roll defense for his life. So Jim Boylen, whenever he goes to the backup center, he needs to find a way to either hide Kornet's very bad pick-and-roll defense, or he can't play Kornet, because Kornet, while he can shoot the three, that's all he can really do. He's not that great of a rebounder. He's very thin for a 7'2" guy. And Jonas Valanciunas and Jaren Jackson Jr. destroyed Luke Kornet in his 8 minutes of play tonight. So Jim Boylen, when he goes to the second unit center, he either needs to have Wendell play that, Lowry play that, or go to Daniel Gafford, because Luke Kornet in the second unit defensively is not working out. And so when Chris Dunn or Kobe White expect the rim protector to be there, Luke Kornet's not there. So the second unit, I think, was much better, like, overall defensively throughout the entire game on the perimeter. But pick and roll wise, with Luke Kornet trying to guard the pick and roll, was terrible. So Jim Boylen needs to make a decision in the future with that. The second half of the Bulls started out pretty decent, I thought. Tomas Satoransky had some big plays. Bulls got deflections early in the third quarter that helped them stay in the game and not allow Memphis to take their already double-digit lead and pull away with it. And I definitely thought the third quarter was okay, but it definitely did show that Jim Boylen made the defensive adjustments that it was enough. It wasn't perfect, but it was definitely enough adjustments to allow the Bulls to stay in the game. And then at the very end of the third quarter, Kobe White started to hit some shots. And thank goodness Kobe White started hitting some shots, because in the start of the fourth quarter, Kobe White hit even more shots and brought the Bulls within 2 points at the end of the third, and got their offense started in the fourth. So Kobe White basically saved the Bulls in this game. Without his contribution, even with Zach LaVine going off for 37, the Bulls would not have won this game without Kobe White. So I thought the fourth quarter offense, after the first 4 minutes of it was just Kobe White. Once LaVine checked in with 8 minutes left to go in the fourth, it was basically just LaVine and Kobe White. It was those two guys getting the ball, and then the other one setting the screen for the other, and it was just isolation basketball. And initially it's like that's terrible because there's no ball movement. The issue was the fact that the ball movement today for the Bulls was not helping. They moved the ball pretty well actually as a team, but the issue was that none of the threes were going down. I think they only made 4 threes in the first half, and the three-point shot was not there in general this entire game. They couldn't get inside because of Jonas Valanciunas and Jaren Jackson Jr. Protecting the rim. So they had to take guys off the pick and roll, or they had to take guys one-on-one. And at the end of the game, LaVine and White showed that they can take guys down the stretch of a game, clutch moments, one-on-one, and score. And that's exactly what happened in the fourth quarters. LaVine and White took over and willed the Bulls to victory. Overall, for this game, it was great because now you know for the Bulls that LaVine and White worked together very, very well. There was a lot of questions if White and LaVine can actually play together because people thought LaVine would take too many shots away from Kobe, but clearly this shows that they can go off of each other and they can work well, and just those two together, they're a dynamic duo in the backcourt that is going to be very, very hard to guard come in a couple of years. But Kobe White off the bench so far has just been instant offense. It's been what Stacey King says, the Ben Gordon, but just bigger and faster. So he has shown that he has arrived in this league, and right now, through 2 games, is the Rookie of the Year. I hope with Kobe White he can continue performing this well in the future because the Bulls clearly have shown that they are going to struggle offensively, especially if Lauri Markkanen only puts up 9 points on 4 of 15 shooting, and Otto Porter is going to be on a minutes restriction, and he can't hit a shot for his life. He was lucky to even hit a 3. So the Bulls need as many points as possible out of Kobe White and really just as many points as possible out of the point guard position because you know LaVine's going to do LaVine. He's going to be the most consistent scorer each night, and LaVine actually played some pretty good defense tonight. We have to give him credit for those 3 steals. He overall, LaVine did very well defensively, especially at the end of the game. Kobe White defensively is already very solid. He's able to guard multiple guard positions. So defensively, those guys, they look actually good enough that they can work together well. But most importantly, though, they have to bring the scoring now because clearly Satoransky has not played well. Wendell Carter Jr. just is getting the foul trouble issues again, and he fouled out again. But you have to look at that plus-minus box score of plus 16 for Wendell, and people need to give credit to Wendell for how well he did this game, shutting down the center, either Valanciunas or Jackson Jr. Whenever he was in the game. When Wendell went out of the game, especially early in the first quarter, it really showed that the Bulls did not have any interior defensive presence. So main thing with Wendell is he knows he's not going to score that many points, but he needs to just be that interior defensive presence and get rebounds. And that's what he did very well today in his limited time. Markkanen needs to show up. For this Bulls team to actually continue to be good and to actually win games, Markkanen needs to have games, not like how he played in Charlotte, but he needs to score at least 20 points per game and get those rebounds, which he did today. He had 11 rebounds today. But 5 turnovers and shooting only 27% from the field is not going to cut it. The Bulls need to do a better job. This falls on Boylan. Bulls need to make sure they get Markkanen going to the rim first, get him a layup or get him to the free throw line first before they start having him do the pick and pop plays and have him start shooting the 3 ball. Once you get Markkanen going inside, especially in the post or just pick and roll action, then it opens up the entire playbook and it opens up opportunities for him to succeed. Otto Porter Jr. needs to just be a basketball player again. He did not play very well today again. He may not play against Toronto, but when he does play, he needs to be that 3-and-D guy that he's getting paid $27 million to do. The bench, I think, overall did pretty well today. Arcidiacono did not really put anything in the box score, but he played good defense on Ja. Chris Dunn played fantastic defense on Ja, and he really has succeeded well in the backup point guard role. Thaddeus Young, I thought Jim Boylan should have ran with him a little bit more in the first half, but in his limited time, I think he did pretty well today. He needs to work in that three-point shot, especially from the corner, but the Bulls team as a whole needs to work on the three-point shot. And then Luke Kornet, I've already talked about him. I don't think Boylan should play him anymore. And I definitely want to see more of Shaq Harrison because Otto Porter Jr. is on a minutes restriction. And according to NBA.com, Shaq Harrison's now 6'7". So if that's true, which he does look bigger, I want Shaq Harrison to be playing more wing minutes and helping out the Bulls defensively in the second unit. And potentially start if Otto Porter Jr. can't start a game. Looking forward to the Toronto game, the Bulls need to just first address their interior defense. You can't let guys get into the lane off simple pick and roll plays, and guys can't blow by the initial defender, and we can't depend on Carter Jr. to be the backbone of the defense every single play because that means he's going to pick out fouls very quickly. So the perimeter guys need to stay in front of their man. If it's a pick and roll situation, you got to make sure you rotate well as a team defense to make sure that no one gets an easy layup and no one gets a wide open three-point shot. Once he fixed their defense, especially their transition defense, which they did very well in the second half, they stopped Ja Morant from getting into the lane. Then you need to work on making sure Lauri Markkanen gets his points early, get him going early, get him going to the rim, get him to the free throw line, get him in the post. Try to get mismatches with Markkanen to help him get going. Because if Markkanen gets going, everybody else is going to have a better opportunity to score and succeed, especially Otto Porter and whoever's playing the point guard position, whether it's Satoransky, Kobe White, or Chris Dunn. Boylan needs to definitely tell the team that the first half and the two stories of the first half and the second half, Boylan needs to show in the first half that defensively they were not there. The Bulls team did not do a good job at all. But then he needs to show in the second half how the adjustments that they made worked very well. And then as a whole, he needs to make sure this team gets a lot better offensively and not just depend on just Levine and White to carry the load offensively. All right. So Bulls win 110-102 in Memphis. They play Toronto tomorrow at home. Looking forward to that game. Leave a like on this video, subscribe. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Duncan_White14. This has been Dunky White. I'll be back.